Hello class, this is your lesson 7, simple interest. Interest is the amount that you either pay to a bank for taking out a loan, or you pay credit card companies, or it could be what you earn for having money in a savings account, checking account, stock market, things like that. Interest equals the principal, what you start off with, what's in your checking account, things like that, times the rate, the interest rate, which is your percentage, times time, however many years, if you keep it in for 1 year, 5 years, things like that. So you go through and you multiply all three of them. I equals P times R times T. Again, I is the interest you earn or pay, one of the two. R is the percent, so we're going to change those directly to a decimal. T is the time, and you got to make sure that they are compatible. So if they're an annual interest rate, then T must be written in the number of years. So let's start off with an example. Larry invests $100 in a savings plan. So he puts $100 in. It pays 4.5% each year. We want to know what will his interest be after 3 years and after 5 years. So to do that, we got to start plugging things in. The interest is equal to X. That's what we got to find out. The P is the principal. You start off with $100 in the savings plan. And then 4.5% actually changes to 0.045 or 45 thousandths. And then T is 3 years because this is one figuring 3 years. So when you plug it in, you get I equals PRT. So X equals 100 times 45 thousandths times 3. So he would make $13.50 in that 3 years for just leaving his $100 in there. After 5 years, you basically are doing the exact same thing, except T is now 5. So in this case, we're going to do 100 times 45 thousandths as the interest rate, times 5 years, and you get $22.50. So he makes $22.50 for those 5 years if he leaves it in there longer. So how can you find the balance of Larry's account? Now that's the balance at the end of 5 years. So not only is he getting the $22.50, but he also invested $100. So he gets both of those things back. So he gets a total of $122.50. So at the end of 5 years, that's how much he would collect for leaving his money in there for 5 years. Now we want to find the balance at the end of 10 years. If you leave it there for 10 years and you get 7.5% interest each year for 10 years, and the principal is $500. So you're starting off with 500. So I, we don't know the interest, is equal to X. P is the $500 you're starting off with. R is 7 5/10% or 0.075, 75 thousandths of as a decimal, sorry about that. And then T equals 10. So again, I equals P times R times T, so you just multiply those three things together. So 500 times 0.075 times 10 is equal to $375. Now the question asks find the balance. That means we have to find out how much he will have. Not only will he have the $375, but he'll also have the 500 he started with, so that means he would get a total of $875, and that would be your answer. So the balance would be $875. Next, Mrs. Williams wants to know how long it will take an investment of $450 to earn $200 in interest if the yearly interest rate is 6.5%, paid at the end of each year. So again, we're talking about years. So how long? What we don't know is the time. So again, we substitute in what we know, or we look at what we know. The interest is going to be $200. That's what she wants to make. She's going to put $450 in the investment, and it gets 6.5% or 65 thousandths as a decimal. Time is what we don't know, X. So therefore, we're going to do I equals PRT, substitute in what we know. We know $200 for the interest, $450 for the principal, 65 thousandths for the interest rate. We don't know time. And then go ahead and multiply, and we get 29.25x, or 29 2/2500ths x. So now what we have to do is we have to divide by that. Divide both sides by 29 2/2500ths. This is how we get the x by itself. So I get x equals 6.837, and there's a lot of decimals there, But again, we're talking every year. It pays at the end of each year. So we can't do 6.837 years. We would have to go to 7 years. So it would take her 7 years to earn that $200, I'm sorry, if she invests $450. So, last example, a $1,500 loan. So you're borrowing $1,500 from the bank, has an annual interest of 4.25% on the amount borrowed. How many years, again, we're looking for time, has elapsed if the interest is now, so the interest is now $127.50. So again, figuring out what we have. We know the interest is $127.50. We know the principal that you borrowed is $1,500. And we know the interest rate was 4.25%, which again changes to 425 ten-thousandths in this case. And then time is X, we don't know. So when we plug everything in, again, we've got 127.50 equals 1,500 times 425 ten-thousandths times X. We multiply the two numbers here, all right, multiply 1,500 times 425 ten-thousandths, and this is where we get 63.75, or 63 and 75 hundredths. So to solve for X, we divide both sides by 63 and 75 hundredths, and we get X equals 2. So you could have the loan for 2 years and pay that amount of interest, $127.50, so that you could have that $1,500. So now you have questions 1 through 4 on here. Number 3 is a multiple choice. All right, 1 through 4. Work through these. Show the work on your papers. And you can bring them into class when you come back in on Friday or when I see you next. If you need to, pause, rewind. This video is about 7 minutes long. Have a good day.